Hello everybody, this is IMSA Radio, and as you join us, it's perfect timing as we're about to go qualifying for the final round of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship for 2015. Indeed, the final time we'll be seeing the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. It's Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda, and it's time to go qualifying. It's all live here on IMSA Radio.
The TUDOR United Sports Car Championship on IMSA Radio.
It's Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the booth. It is raining here at Road Atlanta. That does not dampen the enthusiasm of the crowd, which is growing to what I think is going to be one of the biggest ones I've seen here for a little while at least. And the cars are out, Jeremy, on the circuit for GT Daytona qualifying. It's wet, but the cars still have to go out and qualify. No giving it up for championship positions here. It is about the stopwatch for the next 15 minutes.
It is, and it should be pretty interesting. They've had they've had changeable conditions really. Both days have been running here, so there's a lot of question marks going into qualifying. Is there a favourite for the pole position? Well, no, not really, because we've seen different cars shining at different times in different conditions. So I think it's absolutely wide open. I think this is going to be a really interesting qualifying session. Conditions, though, not good. We've just had the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race, which was a cracker. And I think since then, we've had rather more rain than there was during the race. It's just raining just with a little bit more intensity. It's not heavy rain, but it's heavy, very heavy drizzle, I would say.
Yes, I've just been over to the paddock talking with Scott Atherton for one of our partner videos with ZF for the weekend. Indeed, the final fan reporter video. Matthew Kalberg, one of the fans who's come to the track this weekend, getting to ask Scott Atherton some questions, courtesy of ZF. And there is a little standing water in the pit lane and on the track as I came back across the bridge. It's pretty treacherous actually out there. It's bad enough to race in. How hard do you push in qualifying? The answer is just enough without falling off, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to be making a mistake now and giving the crew a lot of work to do overnight, because it's a long race tomorrow. So, you want to give the crew as much rest as you possibly can overnight. You want to make sure everybody is in top shape for tomorrow morning's start.
So if there are any favourites here, we might point you in the direction of the Vipers, which have a decent bit of downforce on the car, although it has to be said that the 007 Aston Martin was very quick in the last practice session earlier on today in conditions not unlike this, probably not quite as wet as we're seeing now. You normally think in wet conditions Porsches might come to the fore, and certainly there's one or two decent drivers out there, including, I'm not sure who's in the 22 at the moment, but going
Lee
round.
Keane, I would suggest.
Lee Keane, says Shea Adam. Let's bring in our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. Good afternoon, Shea, in the full wet garb that we have for you out there in the pit lane. It is now raining quite heavily, isn't it? Sorry, Shea, go ahead.
It's raining harder than it's been raining all day, John, and it's perfect for these Porsche guys who are very happy. Yeah, Spencer Pompelli out in the 73. We've got Lee Keane in the 22, Super Mario Farnbacher in the 23. It was interesting, though, Magnus Racing opting to put John Potter still in the 44, give him a chance. The Viper, the 33, had Ben Keating behind the wheel, so a couple people sticking to tradition, leaving their normal drivers who qualify in to qualify. But yeah, I definitely am keeping an eye, especially on Spencer Pompelli. Hometown race, he's going to want to get this pole.
Spencer just having a big slidey moment at turn 10 as Lee mentioned Shea mentioned his name there.
He was obviously listening to Shea and not watching the racetrack, because he just got on the power a little bit too soon coming out of 10B there. And he didn't quite spin it, did he?
No.
But he did everything but.
Very slow sideways slide, got into a puddle of water as he turned it in and almost got the drift perfectly correct. Just going through turn 1, he did get the drift perfectly correct, got on the power super early after the apex of 1, used the hill to his advantage and just let the tail of the Porsche slide out towards the exit. Got the pictures from rooftop rear at turn 1 there, tails away shot. Thank you, Billy McCoy. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And this is where we see somebody like Spencer, who knows this track and is confident with the car, he might be spectacular and still be quick. Sometimes, you know, that's not the case, Jeremy, on a dry track, but sometimes in the wet, keeping that momentum up, sometimes you just have to let the car slide.
You do, and certainly just try to get on power just a little bit too soon at 10B last time around. We'll see what he does this time, but that fastest lap on the opening that set by Lee Keen, despite the fact he passed the Ferrari, I think it was of
Jeff Siegel.
Around the outside in turn 7.
Yes.
Oh, big slide there for the Audi.
That's Dion von Moltke at the wheel of the Paul Miller Racing Audi R8, still in with a chance of the championship, very much so. In fact, with the championship, the Drivers' Championship being very close indeed, but von Moltke is going to be passed into the final corner by Jeff Siegel. Was that going through? Yes, it was. Lee Keen does not improve, but Spencer Pumpelly does and goes to second, 1:41.8.
And that would have been pole position or provisional pole for Spencer Pumpelly. He had to lift off there coming over the crest. He got too close to both of those two cars, and he's still keeping on the throttle here.
He's got a massive amount of grip through turn 1, behind the 4th place car of was that Cameron Lawrence that he was behind there? Or was that? No, it was Jeff Siegel, wasn't it? Of course, we said that before. Now bumped down to 6th. Christina Nielsen has come out and is in 8th position. So Lee Keen with a 41.6. Spencer Pumpelly in the 73 Porsche 41.8. So 22 and 73 are Porsches. Oh, 23. Mario Farnbacher, Porsche 44.3 in 3rd place. Then Guy Cosmo in the 45 Flying Lizard Audi. It's so hard for me to remember to say that. I've just seen Darren Law actually in the infield there and making plans for next year, hoping to have Flying Lizards at least back in the long races here. Not sure with which version of the car that they have at their disposal. They have both McLaren and Audi, of course, in GT3 spec. Cameron Lawrence in 5th place, 44.9. So it's quite large gaps after the first two there, Jeremy.
Yeah, first two there hugely ahead. 2.5 seconds clear of Mario Farnbacher in the 3rd place. Here comes Lee Keen one more time. They're right on the limit through turn 12. That car splashing through the corner. Across the line he goes. And that was a whole second faster for Lee Keen. 1:40.452 for Lee Keen.
Now through comes Spencer Pumpelly. Slow lap this time, 42.1. Doesn't improve.
Again, he was slowed up by the Ferrari that time, going all the way up the hill and for the first half of the racetrack.
He's cleared that now, though, so he should have a decent lap this time round. Through comes the 64. That's Daniel Serra. That's the Sonic Tools sponsored Scuderia Corsa car in the red, white and black, the almost battleship type blocky colours, which really does change the shape of the Ferrari. 007, Christina Nielsen now comes through to finish her 3rd lap. 44.9. improves, 44.7 improves her to 8th position again. She's just been dumped back. Dion von Moltke just struggling a wee bit at the moment with a 47.2, maybe bringing the Continental wets up the temperature just a little differently. I know that Audis have trouble getting heat in the front tyres when it's very wet. John Potter in the 44, sitting in 11th at the moment with a 50.6.
Yeah, we haven't seen either of the Audis up towards the top of the timesheets yet this weekend, but I don't think either have we seen their full true pace yet. But certainly Dion von Moltke, they're down in 10th place. But Cameron Lawrence in the Viper, kind of a 93, up into 2nd on his last time around, a 1:41.4.
Expect to see Spencer Pumpelly beat that next time around. The WeatherTech number 22 Porsche then, with the blue number 1 on the side, spinning up the rear wheels, coming out of 10B and accelerating hard under the Tequila Patron bridge. Here comes Lee Keen, turns at the final corner, lets the car drift out to the left edge of the circuit. 1:40.4 he has, 1:40.9, so it doesn't quite get a better time. Here comes the 73 car. Spencer Pumpelly goes to pole, 39.9, takes half a second from Lee Keen's time. I told you he was on a decent one. Now here's Cameron Lawrence. Can he improve as well? Yes, he does, 41.2, but stays in 3rd place now. Jeff Siegel, 43.1, goes to 4th position in front of Guy Cosmo. We'll wait for that car to come back through. That was a cracking lap by Pumpelly. Did get a bit of space on the racetrack, Jeremy, and used it very well indeed. Yeah,
great lap by Spencer, it really was. And it's raining fairly hard now at the moment. Conditions certainly aren't improving.
42.7 last time around by Cosmo, takes him to 4th. Christina Nielsen, championship leader, bumps up to 5th position in the Aston, 1:43.1. Now this is more like it's still tight at the top with half a second between first and second, then almost 8/10 between second and third, and then a second and more from third on down over.
And Mario Farnbacher in car number 23 for Alex Job racing into the pits. That's a surprise. I would have expected Mario to shine in these conditions.
And with only 4 or 5 minutes to go, not very much you can do there. The driver's door is open. Crew member leaning into the nearly blue machine of Mario Farnbacher, and sitting in 9th position at the moment. Also no joy at all for the championship contenders in the Paul Miller Racing Audi. The 48 car sitting in 10th position, nearly 5 seconds away from Spencer Pumpelly's time.
Yeah.
Lee Keane goes through on a 41.6, no improvement. Pumpelly looks decent, but it's a 40.0, but he still has the two best laps by 4/10. 5/10, half a second lead overall. His next lap is still 4/10 better than anybody else.
Another improvement from Cameron Lawrence in car number 93 there, the second of the Riley Motorsports Vipers, a 140.665, so he's now just over 2/10 of a second away from Lee Keane, and a big margin, another second and a half back to the 4th place car. That's still Jeff Siegel.
Guy Cosmo chips away, gets down to a 42.5, doesn't improve his position. He's now in 5th behind Jeff Siegel, who's just went back ahead of him. He's gone back ahead of him with the 63 car, 42.3 there. That's a decent battle from 3rd on to 4th on down.
Yeah.
Very close indeed. Fractions of seconds, 42.3, 42.5, 42.9 and 43 flat for respectively Jeff Siegel in the 63. Guy Cosmo in the 45 Lizards car, then Christina Nielsen down to 6th, and Daniel Serra in the 2nd. Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, the 64 car, in 7th position. 3 1/4 minutes to run.
So still time for another couple of laps here by the contenders. We're watching Lee Keane again coming down the hill into turn 10.
Treacherous.
Late on the brakes. Yeah, the car sliding around there, certainly.
Downhill braking area with the water potentially running away from you as well. It's so difficult to get that right.
Yeah, and significant oversteer there coming off the corner, trying to put the power down and not really able to do so as well as he would like, I think. He splashes his way through the final corner, does Lee Keane. Let's see his improvement.
Hey, Spencer coming through, 38.8. You could see he was leading on that through the final corner.
40.4, 2.5 minutes remain.
38.8 and a 40.3 for Cameron Lawrence puts the Viper on the outside of the front row. Amazing stuff. Remember, no ABS on these cars. We will have ABS next year in GT Daytona, but not allowed on these cars. These are not full FIA GT3 spec cars.
No.
So you have to be able to feel what is going on beneath you. So 38.8.
Don't have traction control either, do they?
No, exactly.
I like that, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, these cars are...
more like a very, very powerful GT4 car. Real handfuls.
I like it.
I don't have any problems with that side of things. Spoken to a lot of pro and gentleman drivers who have said that the aero changes that were made on these cars were a bit of a compromise. I think if we gave them back GT3 aero but kept the ECUs a little cleaner, that might not be the worst idea.
Improvement there from Ben Keating, now getting himself up to the 4th place, the second of the Vipers at a 141.6. So it's Spencer Pumpelly way out in front, a 38.886.
Second and a half
Lawrence,
now.
yes, second and a half, more than that. Yeah, almost exactly a second and a half. 140.3 for Cameron Lawrence, 40.4 for Lee Keane, 141.6 for Ben Keating, 141.8 for Guy Cosmo. And then Jeff Siegel and Christina Nielsen, who didn't improve last time around. In the 007 Aston Martin comes Lee Keane one more time, and he does improve that time to fractions away. 38.899. That's 0.013 of a second. Lee Keane down on Spencer Pumpelly. What a great lap from Spencer. Spencer brings his car into pit lane, and number 73 car for Park Place Motorsports. And Lee Keane, he's still out there on the track.
Well, he knows how to do it now. He knows the grip's there. I wonder if they'll just send him for one.
Hard though, that's good.
39.7 for Cameron Lawrence, so he's underneath the 142nd bracket now.
So all of a sudden it's closed in just a little bit. Just
Guy Cosmo improves, 141.6.
Back up to 4th, ahead of Ben Keating with a 46.9 41.698 against a 41.604. It's nice and tight as well there. Dion von Moltke's gone up to 9th ahead of Mario Farnbacher, but still now 4.7 seconds and more.
Look at that. That's great watching Lee Keen drifting the car off turn 7 onto the back straight.
Don't care if he's faster, he looks great.
He does. And he's having fun. That looks like fun. That looks really controllable, and just power sliding the car out of that corner, taking a little bit of opposite lock. Really good stuff. Great to watch. I think he doesn't look super confident in the car under braking.
No, he doesn't.
Checkers out now, Lee. Checkers out.
So is he on the rev limiter coming out of 10B? I think he's in the pit. He is. He absolutely is. There is a Porsche coming through behind him. That must be. Oh, who's that coming across the line? It's the 44 car, I suppose. Yes, it was. And John Potter gets no improvement. Through goes the Viper. Cameron Lawrence to the pole on the last lap with the checkered flag out. 38.2. 0.6 of a second.
No way.
Yes, we're.
What a lap.
Yes, we're. He doesn't even believe it himself.
Serious?
Remarkable stuff from Cameron Lawrence.
Pompelli at his home track. He is going to be crushed. Holy cow. Awesome.
The 23-year-old there, Cameron Lawrence, a champion in the Trans Am in the T2 category several times. A really talented young man. He got the opportunity to join this team on a part-time basis this season just to concentrate on the Tequila Patron North American Endurance Championship. But what a job he has done there, Spencer Pumpelly. A shrug of the shoulders. He done a fantastic lap in the Porsche. But, wow, Cameron Lawrence there comes away here to take the pole position at 38.295, a half a second margin over Spencer Pumpelly.
Really nice.
It's on the radio. Nice lap, man. Nice job. And it really was a fine job by Cameron Lawrence. This is his first pole position in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. This is just his fourth start. He's only just done the races this season. Had 2 wins already, one at Daytona and one at Watkins Glen. Had a good result also at Sebring. But this is really the crowning glory for Cameron Lawrence. That was a tremendous lap he put together.
Well, we pointed you in the direction of the Vipers beforehand, said that they had a bit of downforce that they could possibly use. Big grunt as well. And that is the final pole position of the GT Daytona season, going to Viper and to Cameron Lawrence. A 138.295, beating Spencer Pumpelly's 138.886, which frankly looked to have it done till a few moments from the end when Lee Keen came close in the 22 Porsche, 0.013 of a second. And then Cameron pulling that 38.2 out of the bag. And as his team said to him as he went across the line, beating Spencer Pumpelly at his home track. He comes in to a standstill. The Continental Tires have done their job in qualifying. And down in the pit lane, Shea Adam is there to greet him. I think that counts as a little bit of a shock, Shea. When Spencer Pumpelly took charge of that qualifying session, I thought he had that there.
It certainly came as a shock to them, but they knew when they saw Cameron coming around on that lap that was something special, and that's the exact sort of thing that we're used to seeing from Cameron Lawrence. Remember, winner of the 24 Hours of Daytona earlier on in the year with this crew. That's why he's back. He wants that Tequila Patron North American Endurance Cup Championship, and Cameron's just getting out of the car. He's already got a win here at this circuit so far this year, but that was in a different series. Cameron, I said to you a little bit earlier, a couple hours ago, I'll talk to you after you get pole. You said, nah, we're better when we start from the back. I think this is okay, though, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guys are real thrilled about it. I told them, I wish I planned it that way, but, I was just real lucky to get a clean lap in at the end and push a little harder. The track cleared up a little bit. But, yeah, I'm just thrilled for these guys. I mean, we've been working so hard, and only getting to do these 4 races, we're definitely doing our best to make the most of it. So would have been thrilled with the top 3, but, just gave a little bit extra for these guys in this team with TI and Viper Exchange. Put them on pole. It's just awesome. Hopefully we can take home the championship.
I'll let you go ahead and take your helmet off, but Cameron, this was some performance, and we saw from you last week in the Trans Am Series, there was rain there, it was torrential conditions, and you still managed to lead the race overall, even though your class isn't the top one. Are you expecting a lot of rain tomorrow to maybe help out in your favor in this Viper?
Yeah, I mean, we've experienced a lot of rain recently, and, you know, I don't think it hurts us, you know, especially getting the extra time, like you said, in the TA2 car. So, you know, we have a really good car in the wet or the dry. We learned that at Sebring and Daytona and at the Glen. So I don't know if we're praying for rain, but if we get it, we're more than ready, and we're ready to take it to them.
Well, you might want to stay out of Spencer Pompelli's way tonight and tomorrow, because he's not going to be a happy guy. But thanks, Cameron. You certainly are.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good stuff. A new Rainmeister is born, maybe, after that drive a couple of weeks ago in the Trans Am. Kept it on the island when others couldn't, and has really pulled. He actually sounds shocked when they said by 6/10 over Spencer Pompelli.
You know, I think there's a little bit less. I think the rain lessened, I think, just at the last couple of minutes of that session. But hey, you've got to read that. That's what Cameron Lawrence did. He found that grip. He realized the grip was there, and he took full advantage of it. And what a fantastic job that was. That is Cameron Lawrence's real arrival. I know he's won 2 races already.
Yes.
But that really announces his arrival in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship.
People will sit up and watch that lap and watch it back and say, oh, hello, I've heard of this guy before, sort of, but now I'm going to find out a little bit more about it. And that, of course, is the advantage of being in the big show, Jeremy, and around the big teams as Cameron gets the accolades. We'll move on next to, before we do, go on.
Well, I mean, it's the first opportunity he's had to qualify the car in the 4 races he's done, and boy, hasn't he taken advantage of it.
So he gets the Paul Award, the final one for 2015. Ahead of Spencer Pompelli and Lee Keane, the 2 Porsches. Guy Cosmo for Flying Lizards Audi in 4th position. In 5th, Ben Keating for Viper, the 33 car. Jeff Siegel, 63. In fact, the 2 Ferraris, the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, 63 and 64 in 6th and 7th. Championship leader Christina Nilsson down in 8th position, but significantly still 1 place ahead, albeit barely a 10th, ahead of Dion von Moltke, the 48 car, who were challenging them in the championship. So neither of those teams or cars basically looking particularly happy in the conditions that we've seen this afternoon. No,
that's right. I mean, the top 3 contenders coming to this weekend. Christina Nielsen leads by 1 point over Dion von Moltke and Christopher Haase, and then Bill Sweeter and Townsend Bell, they're another 3 points behind, but don't count out Ben Keating and Jerome Blekemolen. They're only 11 points out of the lead, and that's not inconceivable to overcome that deficit, particularly with their teammates Cameron Lawrence on the pole position.
So that's Jeremy Shaw. I'm John Hindorf. You're listening to IMSA Radio. Hello, everybody, wherever you are around the world. We're ready to go qualifying, and next it will be the GTLM cars, the thoroughbreds of the GT field, and for the final time we will be watching that classic teal blue and green livery of the Falcon tyres, the Derek Walker racing car. And that car, sad to say, will lose that livery. They've been a fantastic sponsor and partner of the championship over the last few years, and Porsches have been strong. That Falcon livery lives on in Europe, and in fact it's racing this weekend at the Nordschleife. Brian Sellers and Wolf Hensler this weekend, joined by Pat Long, Porsche factory driver, to give that livery a run out in style. And every chance that they could take a pole position here, Jeremy, because the car was good this morning, ran in the top 3. And it is just something about Porsches, the weight distribution, the way they put the power down. They do get something out of the bad conditions, particularly off the slow and medium corners.
That's true. Whether they've got enough to match the Porsche Motorsport North America Porsches, I'm not quite sure, because this morning in the practice session, those number 911 and number 912 cars, they were incredibly fast in conditions which weren't too dissimilar to this.
Yes, Nick Tandy was in fact 3rd quickest overall. There's a lot on the line for Porsche this weekend. They had an indifferent start to the season, made the best of the one-shot tyre when that came into the GTLM field from Michelin for their runners in the middle of the year, and now they've got to deliver. Couple of dominating runs in the last couple of races, and now they've really got to deliver. Championship on the line for Porsche this weekend.
Yeah, very much so. Coming in here with a 3-point margin does Patrick Pilet over the BMW of Bill Oberlin and Dirk Werner, and the Chevrolet Corvette of Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia. Well, they're only 10 points out of the lead as well, so everything to play for in GTLM.
It's pretty much winner takes all when we get to the 10 hours on Saturday. At the moment, what we're looking for is who has the right to qualify closer to the front. It might not seem like it's really important in a 10-hour race, but if you're closer to the front, you've got less chance of getting caught up in any nonsense at the first corner.
You have, and when it's wet also, visibility, big. If the farther you start towards the front, the less spray there is. I mean, if you're behind anybody, there's spray, but the farther you are towards the front, the better off you will be.
And it is a measure of how important this is that everybody, all of the top runners, the BMWs, the Corvettes and the Porsches, and indeed the Ferrari as well, has sprung to life immediately that we've got the green flag. Nobody is betting on this potentially going green all the way through. Little stumble for the 62 Ricci Competizione Ferrari as that goes out of the pit lane. The number 3 Corvette is the last car to move. It could be last man out gets pole here if the conditions just start to improve, Jeremy. A question of timing.
Absolutely right, and I'm sure for number 3 car there, at least now they've left a bit of a margin to the cars in front, so they will have clearer track. I'm sure that's why the number 62 Ferrari lifted off a little bit going up the hill out of the pit lane to give himself a bit of a margin with the cars in front of him. So now the Corvette, he'll have pretty much clean track, nobody within 10 or 15 seconds of him on the racetrack. But these other guys, they've got the spray to deal with.
The Porsche Experience Centre has just been established beside Atlanta Airport. Porsche's North American headquarters are here in Atlanta. They've been staunch supporters of Petit Le Mans since the very first running in 1998. And they've got a chance to tie up a championship here with the Core Autosport Works team, backed up by Derek Walker's Falcon Tyres team. And it's a real opportunity here. Will Corvette or BMW, the front-engined contenders, will they be the thorn in the side? Green flag then, as the first of the 911s heads off towards the awesome first corner here at Road Atlanta. 97.9 is Road Atlanta FM around the world on the IMSA app, on radiolemans.com, and our syndicated services. And don't forget, we're on Sirius XM at the weekend for the race as well. And here is where the final pole of the season for these Grand Touring cars. Oh, big loss of the front end grip there as the Porsche comes down the hill through 3 into 4, now into 5. This is where the standing water is, the 911. And I'm guessing that is Tandy on board that car as he heads down to turn number 6, excuse me. Tandy and Bamber confirmed from Shea Adam in the pit, behind the wheel of the 2 Works Porsches, the 2 men who combined with Nico Hülkenberg, current Formula 1 driver for Force India, to win Le Mans outright in the 919 hybrid. That partnership will be broken up, and Le Mans and off has gone the Falcon Porsche. The Falcon Tyres Porsche coming down the hill. We said it was treacherous there, and there's been a mistake on the brakes. That is exactly where we said, out of 2, through 3 into 4, and that has been contact with the wall on the right-hand side. Now, Brian Sellers at the wheel of that car has continued on the track. This will not affect the lap of Nick Tandy. The eyes behind the steering wheel working very, very hard indeed. The Englishman comes through. His lap time, a 1:31.5. 7 seconds quicker than the GTD cars, and off goes the 62 Ferrari. At the bottom of the hill at turn number 10. You want to know how much this matters? Watch how hard these pro drivers are pushing, Jeremy. They're leaving nothing out there. They know it's important to get a good starting position tomorrow in a race that may be weather affected.
What a great lap that was from Nick Tandy, 1:31.5. His teammate Earl Bamber, who's pretty darn good, just did a 1:34.1, so 2.5 seconds between those two. A lot of damage to the Falcon Tyres Porsche.
Just at the top of the hill, Brian turns in. Does he clip the curb? No, he doesn't. He just hit a tiny little bit of water that was standing on the inside. The car snapped to the right. No chance that anyone would have got that back. It happened so quickly. Turns in exactly the right place. The front goes, then the rear, and there's very little runoff there, Jeremy, on driver's right. I can't say that Brian did very much wrong there, to be honest.
No, he certainly didn't seem to be clambering the curb there at all, that's for sure. I spoke to him this morning, and he was saying how treacherous the track was you know, in all these different conditions. And it's really, really difficult out there, and that just shows it, because it wasn't as if he misjudged the apex, you know, the turn in and got it up on the curb and lost control that way. No, I think it was just a little bit of standing water, maybe just next to the curb, right adjacent to the curb. And as soon as he got on that, it kind of aquaplaned on him a little bit. And after that, it was all she wrote.
Ollie Gavin, who turned 43 this week, comes through to complete his lap share. Adam tells us that the 17 is going into the paddock area behind the wall. No surprises there. Ollie goes through, 1:33.1, good enough for third position. Nick Tandy, 1:30.5, has a 2.6 second lead on Earl Bamber, his teammate in second, in identical, sorry, no, he doesn't.
That was on the previous lap.
Excuse me, yes. He has pretty much a second,
Yes.
9/10 of a second lead. That's still a big gap in GTLM. Then Ollie Gavin is another couple of seconds further back, pretty much. Giancarlo Fisichella, Fizzy through in fourth position for Ferrari, a 1:34.2. Fully four. When was Fizzy 4.3 seconds off the pole in anything? When you were in a category like this, or anything that he's raced in. Lucas Luhr, a 5.2, over almost 5 seconds away from that amazing lap from Porsche driver Nick Tandy. And people say, why did Porsche think he's so special? Why did they put them in the 919? It was luck that he won Le Mans. All right, look at the timing screens now. This is a man that can pedal.
Yeah, and look at the timing screens at Le Mans too. He was fast there, wasn't he? Right from the very beginning of the week.
That triple stint that he did in the middle of the night was awesome.
Yeah, he's the only guy this season to won more than one pole in GTLM. It's been a fantastically open season. He's already had 3 poles, as Nick Tandy, this season, and I'm not betting against the 4th now.
He's the only guy ever in TUDOR United sports car history to have more than one GTLM pole. Remember how varied the pole sitters have been. A 30.7 last time around, 7.73, 7.18 for Earl Bamber. He's closed down to within a couple of tenths of his teammate. The Kiwi is beginning to come on form. 8.5 minutes to go, just about half distance in this qualifying session, and the Porsches at the moment are holding sway. That balance of weight to the rear of the car really coming out in these treacherous conditions. But you know what? You can say what you want about the car, you've still got to drive it.
Yeah, it's just the speed, you know, how quickly Nick Tandy got that car up to speed. That was the astonishing thing. Others now beginning to edge closer. Ollie Gavin turned a 1:38, 1.8 last time around in the number 4 Corvette to move up into 3rd place. This is his teammate Antonio Garcia.
33.7, that is his best lap.
Wow. That's 2 seconds adrift of Ollie.
Yes.
Incidentally, all of the Corvette drivers re-upped for next year, already signed up for the 2016 campaign.
Still waiting to hear about Porsche, of course, the Porsche factory drivers. Pat Long telling us that they serve at the behest of the motorsport team in Weissach, and they will be told where they're going later on the year. Normally happens at the Porsche Worldwide Awards. Porsche Global Super Cup winner will be announced as well.
Nick Tandy improved there to a 1:30.398.
He did not.
It's not enough, because Earl Bamber's turned a 1:30.304.
Just brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant stuff. 30 points.
Giancarlo, go ahead and pit. We don't need to risk it. Go ahead and pit.
And Giancarlo Fisichella being told by his team, pit, we do not need to risk this. Basically saying, let the Porsche have their day, fella. There's no point in us sticking the car off into the scenery.
No.
1:30.3 by Earl Bamber has eclipsed Nick Tandy's 30.398. The only other car really within a sniff of that is Ollie Gavin, except that Lucas Luhr in the BMW, the 24 car, now into the 31s, a 31.7, but still 1.4 seconds away. I mean, you do a 31.7 round here, and you think, hey, I'm doing pretty well. How close? 1.4 seconds, Lucas. Okay, I think I might park it.
Yeah, I think that was the right call there for the Ferrari guys to bring Giancarlo Fisichella in. He had improved last time, 32.9.
Here comes Nick Tandy through the tricky turn 10 complex. We'll see if he dives off to the right-hand side of the track. Just tiny little adjustments on the steering wheel as he's looking for grip. Gets the car balanced into the final corner. Huge rooster tail of spray. I'm looking up at the screen. Has he bettered his time? He has not. A 4. That's still faster than anybody else, but miles off his teammate. And a big slide for Tandy through turn 1 as he hits one of those red Georgia clear coloured rivers that's running across the track. He's really pushing it now, and I just wonder if someone might get on the phone from the pit lane and say, that's it, fellas, let's call that one a day.
Oh, Bamba has just gone faster, John.
He has 30.0.
Ollie Gavin, he also improved to 31.6.
Back to 3rd.
Yep.
Wow, 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 wow. Well, we've said a couple of times this year that qualifying...
Car off turn 4, red flag.
And we've got an incident at turn number 4 that has brought out the red flag with, only 9 minutes and 59 seconds of green flag running to go. This is not a full session yet. With regard to the rules, we need just a little bit more time.
I think we just snuck underneath it because we've got 4:41 to go. Oh, 9:59. 1 second.
Rules is rules, Jeremy. Now, who is it who's gone off? I wonder if it's Lucas Lur in the BMW. The 24 car was pushing very hard. He'd just been bumped back down to 4th position by Ollie Gavin's 131.6. So it's Bamba, Porsche 912, 130.0. Tandy, Porsche 911, 130.3. Ollie Gavin, Chevy Corvette 131.6, 1.6 seconds off the pole sitting time.
Where's Earl Bamba? Has he come around yet?
He's due in any second now.
I thought he was ahead
There's
of
Ollie.
Gavin on the road.
You might be right. Tandy has made it back to his pits. The Porsche Cayenne intervention vehicle, the GTS, has just headed up the hill through turn number 1. Second Corvette is in the pit lane, so that's Garcia and Ollie Gavin. And there's an ominous silence as we wait for more cars to come in. I hear something coming down the hill behind us. It's not a Porsche at all, no. It is...
Yeah, there it is, look. There's a number 912 car.
The 912 is off. Earl Bamba is for at least out of the car. The car is into the right-hand side, into the McNish Dell down there. That is not the first car that we've seen off down there this weekend. In the gap down between turns 3 and 4, Earl Bamba already out. We'll have the ignominy of coming back in a Mazda rather than the Porsche intervention vehicle. And Shea Adam is down in the pits and has talked to the team. Shea?
Yeah, the team just saying that Earl said he's okay. He is getting a ride back, though. The car will need a little bit of work. The team doesn't know what happened yet, but they will be able to fix it because this Porsche team by Core Autosport is their main support. Don't forget about that. They know how to fix cars and how to make them just as good as they were, if not better, than when they first came out of the garage.
Well, that's 2 Porsches pushing hard, going off at virtually the same part of the track. The Falcon Tyres Derek Walker racing car with Brian Sellers getting a horrible, horrible wiggle on at the top of the hill, hitting the wall on driver's right. And Earl Bamba as yet, with cause unknown, hitting the wall on driver's left at virtually the same part of the circuit.
Just shows you how treacherous it is out there. And even though with Earl Bamba, because he calls this red flag stoppage, his best lap will be taken away from him. Doesn't have any consequence because his second lap was still good enough for the pole position, just not by quite the same margin.
All of a sudden, we've got 10 minutes. That 1 second has been found on the timing and scoring, so that is now a full.
Checkered flag starter, checkered flag. We're going to be unable to restart this session.
Unable to restart the session, the teams are being told, and the checkered flag is out. We have 10 minutes. It is a valid session. So let's tell you then that Earl Bamba, his time of 1:30.304 will disappear.
No, beg your pardon. The 30.074 will disappear,
okay,
and the 30.304 will remain.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, so in fact that's already happened by the look of it.
Yeah.
Best time is listed as a 30.3, last time 30.0. So well done to the timekeepers for already making that and catching out a stupid commentator like me. I just looked at the best time. Well done. That's already been taken account of. What Jeremy is talking about is if anyone causes a red flag situation in qualifying, you lose your best time. A lot of tyre damage to be put right.
Yeah, and that's on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Oh,
that's where Brian went in, I
Sullivan,
think.
okay,
Yeah.
fine.
And then Earl did the job properly further down the hill. The Komatsu, of which I've seen a lot more very hefty and chunky plant, yellow and black plant vehicles here this weekend. And fair play to Road Atlanta for making sure that those vehicles are on standby to put concrete walls and tyre bales, etc., back where they should be. Well, there's a lot of bodywork down at Falcon Tyre that is going to need to be grafted onto the 17 car. Brian brought that car back. I saw him in the back of the awning a little earlier on, so he's out of the car. Horrible piece of bad luck for them. So 912 from 911, and then the 4 of Ollie Gavin will start on the second row with Lucas Lurfer Company, 4 and 24, Corvette and BMW. 62, Giancarlo Fisichella, the Risi Competizione on the inside of row number 3, with Bill Oberlin's 25 BMW for company. Tonio Garcia then in a splendid isolation in 7th position, with Brian Sellers not having set a time, of course. Shea Adam is down in the pit lane. I would think rather mixed emotions down in the Core Autosport Porsche pit at the moment.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. Had a quick chat there with Ricard Leitz right as the session ended, and I said, that's a good place to start from, and he said, well, 2. He was clearly disappointed that Nick Tandy couldn't repeat his repeating pole positions, but the big surprise for me was Corvette Racing and Ollie Gavin managing to haul the car up into 3rd place to start. Just waiting for Ollie right now. He's just having a debrief with his crew, which is the most important thing, and then I'm going to grab him for a quick word and find out just how hard he was pushing.
Very hard, I think, will that be that answer, as the Komatsu does its job now. That is the 912 Porsche on the back of a rollback, not looking too bad on the left-hand side. I think it may not be the same story on the right-hand side as it swings down towards the bottom of the hill at turn number 4. Mildly cosmetic, though, at least at the front. Rear suspension looking slightly deranged, although they run quite a bit of camber. Clearly the rollback driver not listening to us on 97.9. I would like him to turn and come past the camera if he would. Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind of you. Not as bad as I had feared.
There's mirror hanging off. So damage to the front and the rear, though.
Yeah, concrete burn on the side of the car as it makes its rather lonely and forlorn trek back up towards turn 6. If you're up there, get your cameras ready. It is on your side if you're on the infield. The damage there, it's a bit of concrete scrape. So he's clearly gone around, Jeremy, and hit the wall backwards stroke sideways on the right-hand side of the car. The left just needs a polish and a bit of a jet wash. A bit of a deranged rear right as the car heads around turn 6. Just slightly worried by the jaunty angle of that right rear wheel.
Yeah, he's I would suggest made contact more than once with the fence there on that right-hand side of the car. So quite likely lost control going around the kind of right-hand first part of the S's as you sweep down the hill. And I would fancy the cars just sort of kind of swapped ends and slid off to Alan McNish's part of the world.
Yes. Well, one thing we know about Earl is he's fairly forthright about most things. So if we can get a word with him, he looked okay. Little
chastened.
Very good word. Very good word indeed, Jeremy. Takes triple word score for that this afternoon. Yes, but I fancy he will have a chat with Shea if we can find him down in the pit lane. Ironically, of course, as you rightly say, taking away the 3:30.0. Shea, where are you at the moment?
Just walking back up the pit lane, trying to see who's still here. These guys clear out very quickly in between sessions, and we do have the PC guys coming up quickly on track. But heading back up towards Porsche, they've pretty much abandoned ship. They're waiting for their car to come back. So I'm going to go wait by the garage and see if maybe we get a Kiwi walking back that way as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Shea. Shea rightly says the qualifying will continue with the Prototype Challenge. And how many cars have we got in Prototype Challenge this weekend, Jeremy?
Well, we started with 8.
Yes.
Down to 7, though, unfortunately, because the number 38 Performance Tech Motorsports entry will not take part in the race. Big crash, was it yesterday morning, wasn't it, for Connor Daly in the, was it yesterday morning? Yeah, in the very first practice session,
yes.
Only 4 or 5 laps into it, unfortunately. Connor lost control going out on the exit of turn 1, slid off on the left-hand side of the racetrack and did an awful lot of damage to the left front of the car, and it damaged the suspension there, and the whole chassis was badly damaged as well. So that car will not be repaired for the weekend. So down to 7, unfortunately.
It was almost 6, but for JDC getting a cracking job done on the 85 car. Let's go down to Porsche. Nick Tandy outside of the front row in the 911, just pipped by his teammates. He's with Shea Adam right now.
Nick Tandy and Patrick Pilet are both looking very interestedly at the times that came in. And Nick, you had me there for a second. I thought I was going to get to interview you for yet another pole position, but Earl just managed to squeak it out. You going to maybe kick him in the shin a little bit later or spit in his food, something like that, for ruining your streak?
Not for ruining my streak, but if we can't fix the car, I might be. You know, you've got to assess a risk and these conditions, and there was a lot of aquaplaning, and it's tough, but you know, as long as we can fix the car and both start on the front row, then it doesn't matter who starts first and who starts second, because you know, it's not a sprint race, it's a long race, and I'm pretty sure that we've got a good race car as always, so no problems. I'm happy to be first and second, put it that way.
Well, it was a tricky session out there. A lot of people sliding all over the place, and a couple of surprises in the charts. We saw the Corvette and the BMW starting behind you guys. Which one are you more worried about?
I mean, clearly we're worried about the 25 car and the BMWs as a whole for the manufacturer's points, but there's such a difference between the two Corvettes. Maybe they did something different with their tyre strategy, which, if it's wet, you know, tomorrow, then that's a set of tyres that maybe they can't use tomorrow. So let's see.
Well, you love yes or no answers, and really quickly, you guys are using the WEC wet tires. Do they suit your Porsche?
Yes. That's pretty obvious, eh?
Thanks, Nick. And John, he's got his daughter here this weekend, so it would be extra special for Nick to get a win.
Very good. Nick Tandy then starting on the outside of the front row. Earl Bamber having put the 912 car into the barriers, going down through turns 3 towards 4. We await that car to arrive back in the pit lane. In fact, it's just coming into the back of the pit lane now. Fairly innocuous looking damage on the right-hand side. The door mirror ripped off, the sidewalls of the Michelin tyres white-walled from contact with concrete, and some rubbing on the bodywork. The normally pristine right rear wing has been cracked, but I'm worried about that rear suspension.
Yeah, nothing's going to polish out here.
No, that's very true, Jeremy. That's a new rear wing assembly, a new rear valance. Bodywork.
Hopefully they're not going to send in the bill, because that's going to be quite expensive.
Yes. The under tray has gone at the back as well. The exhaust is okay. The light cluster's worth a few $100.
Yeah, one of those is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably doing. I wonder if they do use the standard streetcar light clusters, or whether they lighten them up. I'm not sure what the regs are on that. That's something I'll go and research this evening. But the cosmetic damage is not that bad. There will be spare bodywork down in the paddock. They haven't used an awful lot of it this year. Let's be honest, they've had a pretty clean year in terms of damage of Porsche in the GTLM category. What will be worrying anyone who knows anything about race cars, and particularly Porsches, is looking at that back wheel and wondering, was that at the right angle? Has it been moved? How has the suspension been affected? Drive shaft, gearbox. Remember, it's all back there, and the engine back there as well. Has it moved the engine mounts? There's a lot of questions to be asked there, and they will have that car stripped down and on the flat patch, getting lined up as quickly as possible. And that's exactly, Jeremy, what you were saying. That's exactly what you don't want tonight into tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is a job that is not going to be completed in an hour and a half or 2 hours and everyone goes to Marion's for dinner.
You know, I mean, the core autosport guys are pretty much, not always, but often the last guys to leave the track
Anywhere.
in any case. But now they've got an awful lot of work, a lot of extra work to do as well. I mean, it doesn't look too major, but they're going to have to strip everything down and make sure that everything is as it should be. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of work to be done there. That will be a longer evening than they were anticipating.
Risi Competizione mechanics. Give the car a spanner check, lads. Make sure everything's still all right when it's come back off the track.
Green flag for PC.
The marked tyres will go to one side. Everybody happy. Right, let's go and get some pasta. And that'll be them done. That's not going to be the same down at Core, and it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be, as I say, an extra hour tonight. That is several hours work there. And the guys at BMW and Corvette will be looking at that and sensing an opportunity. We saw, didn't we, a few years ago when the LMP1s were here, when people work late nights, you've got to then still perform in the pits for 10 hours during the race the next day, and you're going to have to do 9, 10, 11, 12 pit stops. So, you know, it doesn't matter whether you get to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, you've still got to perform the next day.
You have, and the more sleep you can get, the better you're going to perform in the next day. You've got to be, we talked about earlier on, you've got to be on your A game for tomorrow's 10-hour race.
Yes, absolutely.
And unfortunately, Earl Bamber was on his A game for four and a half laps.
Brian Sellers has tweeted out, he is at Brian Sellers on Twitter, our first crash with Falcon tyre in 7 years. Very sorry to the team, to Wolf Hensler, Patrick Long, completely my fault.
Is it really?
Yeah.
First crash in
Yes.
7 years? That's astonishing, quite frankly.
Yes, given the level that at which they have performed.
Yeah.
There was a Baltimore crash at the start of the race, and I think they just squeaked through that with a minor scrape. I don't think that car was involved. In fact, wasn't that one of the Baltimore races that they went on to win? Yeah. So they got through. So he shared just opining a couple of things on the talk back there, and I'm sort of musing the same things. Well, let's hope that that does not define this weekend for Derek Walker Racing, and indeed for Brian Sellers, Wolf Hensler and Patrick Long and the Falcon guys.
That team, two-time defending winners here at Road Atlanta.
Consecutively.
Yeah.
They are going for a three-peat, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be a nice way to take that programme out of American sports car racing.
Yeah, and with Wolf Hensler and Brian Sellers, the two omnipresents in each of the 2 years, 2 victories here. For the first year, it was Nick Tandy who was part of the winning team. Last year, it was Marco Holzer. This year, of course, Patrick Long joining the squad.
Pick a Porsche factory driver, anybody. Spin the wheel. We've got the PC cars out. You're listening to IMSA Radio. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindorf with Shea Adam, our Continental Tyre Pit Lane reporter. PC Challenge cars out, all on Continental wet tyres. That's an easy choice for them. Getting up to speed. Now, what I'll be interested to see here is who they put out, whether it's the pro or the non-pro driver, and whether they can beat the 130.304 of Earl Bamber, because we saw the GT cars, Jeremy, in difficult conditions earlier on today, having an advantage over the more aero-dependent prototypes. And in fact, Nick Tandy was third overall today, earlier on in the morning session.
He was indeed. He turned a 124.015 this morning. That was third fastest overall. 123.2, the quickest by a prototype car. And the best of the PC cars this morning was Jack Hawkes, I think, set the time. A 124.198 for RSR Racing. That's car number 11.
Shea can tell us some of the drivers who we'll see come through to start their first flying lap in a moment, Shea.
Bit of a mixed scrap bag so far. We've got Tom Kimber-Smith, the lovely Kimberly, in the 52, and the 54 has John Bennett. So our two main points contenders in the PC class going with very different strategies, putting the pro in the 52 and the non-pro in the 54.
The significance of that, of course, Jeremy, is the guy who qualifies the car has to start the car tomorrow. Otherwise, you take a penalty. And you might think, well, we'll stick the Pro in at the start. Put the Am in at the start. It's more likely to be a bit of a mess out there. But then again, if it's dry weather and you've got your Am in at the start and you get his laps and his times out the way, then you look like a star. So, you know, you pays your money, you take your choice.
Yeah. What you don't want to do is go a lap down in the early stint, and I'm sure that's what the number 52 team is thinking. They put their quick guy in the car and hope he can
put a lap on the field.
Yeah, put a lap on the field, or as many of his rivals as he possibly can.
Saw that, didn't we? The thinking behind that playing out at Lime Rock Park early on, albeit a much shorter lap around in terms of time and distance, and a very high speed lap at that. And the guys on the wall will be earning their money this weekend. The short races this year have been a tactical challenge for the Prototype Challenge guys, and this is a 10-hour timed race, 5 of which must be completed for it to be considered a race. And if you weren't with us earlier on, 1 or 2 suggestions that the race might not take place tomorrow because of bad weather and may be held over till Sunday. The plan from IMSA is to go ahead as scheduled. Rain or shine is the quote that was given to me. Rain or shine, we will be racing tomorrow, Saturday, here at Atlanta for the 10 hours, powered by Mazda. So early times about to be completed. Johnny Molam's gone out in the bar 116 car.
Chris, drive to the grip. The fast lap right now is a 36.1. 36.1, you are P3.
It's John Church there on the radio to Chris Miller.
Chris Cumming.
No, Chris Miller.
Ah, okay.
JDC car.
Right.
Chris Cumming is indeed qualified number 11 car for RSR, so the regular qualifier in that machine.
Johnny Molam has the fastest time, that 36.1, of which you heard speak there on the radio. Tom Kimber-Smith, the 52. So bar 1 at the head of the field. Tom Kimber-Smith for the 52 machine in second. 36.1, 36.3. Third place, Alex Popov in the 88. Is the 8 out there? Yes, it is. Mirko Schultes back out there after backing the car into the wall at the final corner. One of the earlier sessions today. 16 car, Johnny Molam trying to find some grip, battling with front and rear. And remember again, no traction control on these cars this year. That is slated to change for 2016 as these cars got a stay of execution. Bit of extra downforce, some traction control, and talk of a bit extra power on these cars as well, as Molam comes through and does not improve his time, a 46.6. So Johnny must have had a bit of a moment out there to be 10 seconds slower that time around, or he was looking for some space on the track. Doesn't look nice out there, Jeremy, does it?
No.
Alex Popov
just... It is pretty slippery. There's a lot of spray still. Doesn't seem to be... Well, we're inside.
It's not raining here.
Sorry, Shane, it's not raining here, no. It doesn't seem to be raining as hard, certainly as it was at the beginning when the GTD cars were out there.
I think the guys have done a very sensible thing here, actually, because they have spaced themselves out, so they're not driving into everybody else's spray. But the wind has dropped just a little bit on the far side of the circuit, and it is hanging between the trees. 54 coming round to complete a lap is John Bennett, the distinctive orange, white and black racing helmet that matches the team colours on the 54. Rumbles across the line, and John goes to a 1 minute 44.0, 7th position in class at the moment.
Tom Kimber-Smith back to the top of the times in PC, 134.252 last time around. That's car number 52, PR1 Matheson Motorsports.
So let's see what Johnny can do. Josh Barrett asks, will the grid start as they are, or will prototypes be moved ahead of the GTs for the race? I think that might well depend entirely on what the weather conditions are at the start of the race, actually.
No, I think they'll start them in the classes again, but the GT cars, GTLM cars will start behind the prototype cars. So we'll have, I think we'll have, the grid will be the prototype cars and the PC cars. then a gap, then a GTLM and GTD. Isn't that how we normally do it? And I think that'll be the same. But I'm sure there'll be a slightly larger gap between the prototypes and the GT cars, because
they could well be quicker early on.
They will be quicker early,
if it's wet.
Significant, and particularly than the AM drivers or the non-professionals in the PC cars, they'll be significantly faster.
Might it not be better to do prototypes, GTLMs, PCs, GTDs? Suppose you can line them up any way you want when you're the sanctioning body.
Yeah.
And in terms of making a safety decision, you never have to really justify that to anybody. I do think that the GT cars, if the weather is bad, will be quicker. The pro drivers in the GT cars will be significantly quicker. I mean, at the moment, what we're looking at here is even Tom Kimber-Smith, who is a very, very good driver, being 4 seconds a lap slower than the Porsches. Yeah. In fact, he's slower than all of the GTLM cars that put in a time. Johnny Molan, by the way, has just gone down to a 33.7, so that's the same 10th at least that Antonio Garcia was in terms of the GTLM 7th position, but still all of the GTLM cars are ahead of the pole sitter in PC. If it's dry, I go with your scenario. If it's wet, I think you put the two pro classes ahead.
Well, you know, it doesn't really make much difference because they're going to be like, whoops, there's Chris Cumming going backwards there, coming off turn 11, losing it over the brow of the hill as he comes down.
All good, one coming down behind you. Out.
Clear, Chris. Nice bit of work from the guys on the radio there.
And yeah, I mean, there's going to be lap traffic, you know, pretty much from the get-go in the race tomorrow, certainly. But you know, the traditional way is, so there will be a gap between the prototypes and the GT cars. So by the time the GTLM cars catch the PC cars, which won't be very long, admittedly, but probably 3 or 4 laps perhaps, they will be strung out somewhat.
Yeah, okay.
So then you
pole, but it's by 300. Perfect laps, man.
That's Tom Kimber-Smith, now up into 7th position overall with a 1:33.741. Has put himself ahead of Antonio Garcia. 7:96 for Johnny Molan. More important on the class positions, of course. Yeah, I suppose if you give the full length of the start-finish straight, Jeremy, and split them up, you know, a decent...
Probably a bit more than that, actually.
5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if it's 5 or 6 seconds, they're going to be caught on the second lap.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So I think a bit more than that, I would think. Be 15 or so, I would imagine, at least.
You've got a good chance here because of the long back straight, and you can stage cars quite nicely down the back straight. Might even be worth using 2 safety cars, actually, and running a second safety car behind the prototype field to pace the GT field
2 laps remaining.
to the gaps that you want. And then you're not relying on trigger-happy drivers at the front of the GT LM field. We've had 12 minutes of green, by the way, so this is a valid session.
Comes Alex Popow across the line in the Starworks car number 88. He improves at 135.2.
Spin for the 85 car, and that is Chris Miller in 4th position. And he's managed... is that... Oh, I expected him to turn the other way there. That's at the top of the hill. That was turn number 2 heading into turn number 3, and I thought it was a different part of the circuit altogether. Rather confused me when he turned to the left rather than the right. Fortunately, he knew where he was.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
Yeah, very much so. Oh, huge slide from Johnny Molan through turn number 10A into 10B. Just the car just dancing on the surface of the water. So Tom Kimber-Smith, a 33.773. 1 minute 27 to go. 7.96 for Johnny Molan. Alex Popow with 35.2. So it's Kimber-Smith and Molan who are setting the pace here.
Yeah, very much so. Johnny Molan, a good bit slower on that last lap, 1:35.5. He was just told last lap. So this is his last opportunity for Johnny Molan to find that extra. Well, all he needs to find is a 1/10 of a second to wrest away the class pole from Kimber-Smith.
Good battle from the 2 Brits at the head of the field. The 85 of Chris Miller continues and will get 1 more lap after that little half spin at the top of the hill at turn 2-3.
Will be your last lap,
And still only Tom Kimber-Smith with a time faster than a GTLM car.
Yeah.
Just underlining that as Chris Cumming improves his time and goes up to 5th position with a 37.4. But puts him ahead of the GTD field at least.
Tom Kimber-Smith there trying to get his first pole position in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship.
No.
Yeah.
That,
He rarely qualifies the car.
Yes,
He
of course.
never
Yes,
qualifies the car.
of course.
Johnny Molan does have one last year.
Through goes the...
No, it was this
Checker
year, wasn't
flag.
it? It was at Daytona, wasn't it?
Car 8 is your possible last.
Johnny Molan turned at 132.9.
Thank you, Johnny. Up into 5th position and provisional pole for bar 1.
So trying to keep his streak alive. He's only done one race this season, hasn't he? That was at Daytona.
Put the car on pole there.
Put the car on pole there. No, he did Sebring as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was it Sebring was on pole, wasn't he?
Well, it's definitely Daytona who was on pole. I remember talking to him about it recently. So where is Tom Kimber-Smith? He's still out there. So Molan, 5th position on the track in terms of the times we've seen with the GT cars. Tom Kimber-Smith still out on the circuit as through goes. Was that Alex Potwell going through? Yes,
it
was. Improved 33.9. Doesn't get a better position. 3rd position. Here comes Tom Kimber-Smith. Final corner. Looks smooth. Always looks smooth, Tom. There's the checkered flag. And pips Johnny Molan.
Good job, buddy. Pole for you. Pole for you. Half-second clear.
Good job, says Bobby Oracle there, the
Everyone cross.
team principal. The first pole then for Tom
Buddy, good
Kimber-Smith.
job.
Yeah, it was a good job, wasn't it, by Tom here. He knew that was his last lap. He knew he had to make it. That's exactly what he did. Johnny Molan then, he's just under one start this season at Daytona. Put the car on the pole position there, and it's looking good there until just that final lap by
Sorry,
Tom
guys.
Kimber-Smith.
I was trying to get 2 for 2 there.
Yes.
Johnny Molan trying to get 2 for
You did
2.
a good job. That was a good try.
Well, life in Johnny yet, clearly, as he comes to a halt. Surprised to see his darker visor on Johnny's helmet, as perhaps he's got on there. There's a little shrug of the shoulders as he gets out the car, the Adidas race boots, and a slap on the head and shake of the hands from the team. I think that's a pretty good run, actually, by Johnny to get anywhere near Tom Kimber-Smith. He's been in these cars for quite a while now, hasn't he, and races them pretty much every event.
Yeah, I'm sure he relished the opportunity to there and go qualify the car as well.
Yeah.
Tom Kimber-Smith. It's first time it's done that, actually.
So the Black Spider sponsored machine pulls into the pit lane. Shea Adam.
Since Sebring.
Yeah. Johnny Molan out. Slap on the back.
Qualified 3rd both at Daytona and Sebring did Tom Kimber-Smith. Those are the only 2 times he's qualified that number 52 car this year.
Shea
3rd
Adam.
time lucky then.
Yeah, 3rd time lucky, absolutely. 3rd time is a charm. 2 3s and a 1. Shea Adam is down at the pit lane waiting for Tom Kimber-Smith. We'll pass down to her and wait for Tom to exit the car and take off the helmet before we find out his thoughts there and how, well, he's clearly pushing quite hard, perhaps working a little harder than he had expected to, with Johnny Molan pushing him within just over half a second was the margin at the end. Gets the congratulations of his team. And our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, Shea Adam, is down to talk to Tom Kimber-Smith, pole sitter for the final round of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship for 2015, and pole sitter in the Prototype Challenge category. Helmet coming off now. Shea.
Tom, it's the last opportunity for a pole this year, and it's your first one in this series. Just how difficult was it out there to push hard and try and get it away from Johnny Molam?
Very difficult. I mean, these cars are particularly hard to drive in the dry, but in the wet they're even harder. And you know, the Continental Tie here did us well. The whole team worked really hard over the last couple of days with the wet practice that we've had. We managed to keep it on the black stuff, and you know, it's paid off today. So, really happy to do it. Again, we're in front of core, and that's where we need to be.
It's a very, very difficult session, though. Molam did push you hard. He's not in it for the championship. You are. You maybe going to have a little chat with him over a beer about that later?
No, definitely. I mean, you know, we're here to just try and beat court, and that's all we need to do. We're here for a championship, and that's our main focus. So, you know, Johnny's going to drive his own race. I'll hopefully drive my own race, and we won't come into any tangles anywhere on the track. But, you know, Johnny's a professional. He knows that we're fighting, and, you know, it'll be a clean race.
What does this mean for the tactics for the start of the race? Core is down in 7th position. You guys up front, you might just let Johnny run away with it at the start?
Like I said, you know, we're here to win a championship, and with the Patron Cup being at certain hours, as long as we're ahead at those points, you know, we don't really care where we finish at the end. It's just as long as we're in front of core, that's all that counts.
And John, don't be surprised if he can do that. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah,
thank you.
Good stuff by Tom Kimber-Smith as ever. Quietly spoken young man, and he has always been the same, but his driving certainly does the talking for him. And that was a very, very assured qualifying session. Both he and Johnny Molan really duking it out there. That was pretty impressive by both of those guys.
Yeah, and that whole team there, you know, top to bottom, looking at the big picture here, the big picture being the Tequila Patron North American Endurance Cup. There's 4 races: Daytona, Sebring, Watkins Glen, and now at Road Atlanta. And Mike Gouache and Tom Kimber-Smith and Andrew Palmer in that number 52 car lead the standings there by 3 points over Core Autosport. In the season-long TUDOR United Sports Car Championship, the deficit to Core Autosport, it's the other way around. They are 12 points behind Core Autosport. So any chance of winning that championship, they really need to win the race overall.
So Jeremy Shaw,
but win the class,
yeah.
and then hope for some sort of misfortune for Core. But at the same time, you know, they've got their eyes on that Endurance Cup, and to do that, they just have to be ahead of Core Autosport.
You're going to have to be doing an awful lot of arithmetic late on Saturday night, aren't you? Because I'm going to be turning to you and saying, Jeremy, who's won that championship? Huh? Better get the black coffee coming intravenously, I think, or at least get the tea, get the kettle boiling. Let's go down to Shea Adam as we're ready to go prototype qualifying. The final pole position to be decided is that for the guys at the head of the field. And I think we will see a couple of prototypes beating Earl Bamber's time. 1:30.074 was the fastest time. He won't be allowed to keep that. It's a 1:30.3 that has been put on the board for the 912. And we'll update you on the state of that car in a wee while. But earlier in the weekend, indeed last night in night practice, the number 60, the Michael Shank Racing Ligier, came into heavy contact with the wall here on the front straight with John Pugh driving. The story since then has been that of the real family spirit of motor racing here at Road Atlanta. The Elan racing division is just up the road. They have autoclaves and carbon fibre facilities. The car was stripped back to its tub and sent up there. Originally, it looked like the car would not be able to take part in the race, but the guys at Elan, and facilitated by, I should say, by Scott Atherton and Dr. Don Panos. Scott Atherton, one of the first people up there, making sure that arrangements were being made for that assessment and repair of the Ligier tub. It looks like that car might be back for the race. Shea, any chance of that car coming out for qualifying? Michael Shank was relatively bullish earlier on when he said that he got the guys up early to get it put back together.
Well, the good news, John, is that I'm looking at the car. The bad news is it's not on the pit lane, it's back in the garage, but the guys are still working feverishly around it. There's not a chance this is going to get out for the 15-minute session, though. There are significant body panels that are not attached to the car, and they're still doing work around the front and the rear, both of the car, with computers out and trying to get computers to tell them exactly maybe what's going on in certain portions of the engine. But no, it's not going to go out for qualifying. But the good news is they are fixing it, and it looks like, fingers crossed, they might just start the race tomorrow.
Okay, brilliant stuff. If we can maybe get a word with Michael and find out just exactly how much work has gone in there. I'll keep my ears peeled for Shea at the back of the paddock. Two cars we won't see are the Mazda Racing prototypes. It's the final outing for the Sky Active Diesel. Had a long chat with John Doonan, the man at the head of Mazda Motorsport earlier on today. Has been really actually very pleased at the performance of those cars and how that development has come on. This is their final race in those soul red colours, and next season it'll be the gas-powered car of more of which in a moment. Talked to Sylvain Tremblay about that, and I'll impart what he told me actually in a wee moment. This has just been tweeted by Mazda Racing. Due to the dodgy conditions, neither of the Mazdas will be going out for qualifying. We're going to do pit stop practice instead. Action Express will be going out in a little while. Just a note to Jeremy about the petrol-powered, the gasoline-powered prototype that we're expecting to see next year from Mazda. Slated to have both of their cars transferred to that power.
For B-class.
Prototype green goes out, so we've got a couple of minutes before these guys come around. I asked some direct questions about the power unit. This is a new power unit. It's a Mazda unit. It's still a 2-litre engine, very much still with roots in the street car. 2-litre 2-litre 4-cylinder single turbocharged with a direct injection. It doesn't really share the architecture with the engine that we've seen in the past. That was the engine, if you remember, that ran on isobutanol. It will be running on IMSA 100, what's called IMSA 100, the racing fuel that everybody else uses up and down the pit lane. And quite a lot of work has had to go into changing the Lola 80 chassis to do that, because a lot of people were asking me whether it was the old engine that we've seen before, but that of course was a P1 engine, so the car had a different wheelbase. So lots of things have changed since then. And suspension pickup points, there's a lot of cooling that they had for the diesel that won't be required. So when we see those cars at the Raw before the 24 next year, at least when Shea and Jim are there doing our reporting for us, then the car is going to look a little bit different in terms of its aero package, a little bit more streamlined, and it's going to sound different, of course. But Sylvain, very keen to point out that it isn't just a rehash of the engines that have been used before, that it is a Mazda unit that they are developing, albeit in conjunction with AER, who know that engine architecture from old. But it's not just a straight retransplanting of the old engine. So there's quite a bit of engineering that's going on for the rear suspension, apparently. But they are very excited about it because the engine is a little bit smaller and it'll sit a little bit lower and a lot further forward. So in terms of the packaging, they're very excited about that. Direct injection for them, single turbo Mazda 2-litre 4-cylinder engine. So that's is going on. So go down to Shea Adam for just a quick moment. How is the weather out there? It looks like it might be getting even a little wetter, Shea.
A few minutes ago, it was raining harder than it had rained all session long, but now it's actually started to lighten. And honestly, if I take my hood off, if I'm brave enough to do that, there are no raindrops falling on my head right now, but it's still, you know, there's a long time to go in this session. Anything can happen, but watch for Ricky Taylor in this one. He is very good at putting together fast laps. He's behind the wheel of the car. And also the Deltawing's been quick all weekend, so keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I think Deltawing might struggle a little bit in the wet, perhaps. It's not ideal conditions for them. I know visibility in that car isn't particularly good, but I would expect the Action Express guys to be fast too. They were certainly fast last night. Don't know who's qualifying each of those cars, but whoever it is doesn't really matter because they're all going to be quick. So this is going to be an interesting qualifying session, and good to hear that the rain isn't coming down quite as much as it was before, and therefore we hope that the track might just dry gradually through the session. It's still very, very, very wet out there, really treacherous, but if it does dry out as this 15-minute session unfolds, then it should be a pretty exciting last few minutes.
Yeah, good point.
First cars coming across the line there was Christian Fittipaldi, then he was driving number 5 car. He's always good in the wet. Richard Westbrook is driving number 90 machine, and there's, as Shea suggests. Ricky Taylor there on the case. Fastest of all on that very first lap, 1:36.7. Just a couple of tenths quicker than Christian Fittipaldi, who is about, well, less than a tenth faster than Richard Westbrook. So the 3 cars very, very close on that first flying lap. We'll see significant improvements from there.
It's Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhaugh. Shea Adam is down in the pit lane. We are qualifying for the next 10.5 minutes.
Watch for Joey Hand too. He's going to be good. And Dane Cameron is Joey Hand will therefore be in the 01 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, and Dane Cameron qualifying number 31 car for Action Express. It should be a fun session. It really should. It's still very, very slippery though. You can see there's still not exactly standing water perhaps, but yeah, well, sort of standing water, isn't it? At the bottom of 10, between 10A and 10B, at the bottom of the hill there, run in that chicane. Here comes Richard Westbrook across the line now. And he does improve his time to a 30. No, the time. Let's wait till it comes. It was 33.7 then for Richard Westbrook. 34.1 for Christian Fittipaldi. 35.2 for Joey Hand. Here comes Ricky Taylor. And car number 10 for Wayne Taylor Racing, his father's team. Improves to 3rd fastest amongst the prototype cars at 1:35.0. Boy, he's still 5 seconds away from the GT-LM cars. I tell you what, it just shows how good those tyres are, quite frankly, in the GT-LM. This is a spec tyre with the Continental uses.
No, you're entirely wrong there, Jeremy. I'll have people tweeting. It's all about the balance of performance. The Porsche have got such a big balance of performance advantage over the prototypes that it's ridiculous, and there's no point in anybody going out. That's why the Porsches are so much quicker.
Yeah, they do have a nice balance, I must admit.
There's
and
balance and performance.
Yes.
Very good. You were going on the right track. It's about mechanical grip over aero grip as well, isn't it, Jeremy? The Corvette. Ollie Gavin, Lucas Law in the BMW, all still, those 4 cars, 2 Porsches, a Corvette and a BMW, all ahead of the best of the PC cars, and we're still waiting for a prototype car. It will happen, they will get closer. Whether they'll get faster than those top 3 now, as Richard Westbrook does a 31.6, so it is going to happen, but it does show you the difference between a downforce dependent car and a car that has more mechanical grip. I mean, the power that these guys put out in terms of the GT-LMs and the prototypes probably isn't that much different. Where the cars make their performance, where prototypes make their performance, is in the difference of corner speed and how late they can brake because of the extra aero they've got. When that's taken away from them, you're driving a car that is not actually, in some cases, it's kind of not fit for purpose. I remember talking to a very accomplished driver who took out a prototype at Mosport, as it was then, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as it is now, and couldn't get the prototype going quick enough to get the downforce to work, and came in and said, give me a GT car any time I can beat that time by 4 or 5 seconds, and he was absolutely right, he could. It must be a horrible feeling.
The GT car's a little bit heavier than the prototypes. Prototypes weigh in, the DP cars weigh in at basically 1,050 kilograms, which is 2,200 pounds or so. There's Richard Westbrook there, right on edge. You can see how hard he's concentrated. It was a great onboard shot we were watching as he comes across the line there. It goes to a 1:30.584 now, does Richard Westbrook. Fastest in the prototypes, 3rd fastest overall. Christian Fittipaldi about a half a second behind him at 1:31.0. Those are the 2 quickest cars at the moment in the prototype category. Joey Hand into 3rd place at 1:32.086. But these guys, they're planning to run the whole session. I'm sure the times will get faster. Just within 0.3 of a second now is Richard Westbrook at the fastest time overall. Here comes Ricky Taylor through turn 1. He's just improved himself. Just nipped ahead of Joey Hand there, did Ricky Taylor. 1:31.999 for car number 10. That's the Dallara chassis, Dallara Corvette chassis. Both Corvette DPs here, but two different chassis. There is the Dallara chassis that's run exclusively by Wayne Taylor Racing, and the Coyote chassis run by the Action Express cars and by the VisitFlorida.com team of Richard Westbrook, Michael Valianti and Mike Rockenfeller.
Only 5.5 minutes to go. And it's Christian Fittipaldi and Richard Westbrook who lead the way. 30.5, 31.0. So getting close to the Porsches. And Richard Westbrook upholds the honour of the prototypes and does a first sub 90-second lap in qualify. 1:29.6 for Westy. Number 5 has just gone through. Fittipaldi does a 30.487. When Taylor, Ricky Taylor at the moment, a 31.999. Joey Hand in the Ford with a 31.6. Here comes Ricky out of the turn 10 here, 10B complex. That Corvette looks a bit of a handful, Jeremy.
Yeah, and this car does have traction control, but certainly the car stepping out there a little bit as he puts a power down coming out of the chicane. Across the line he goes. Oh, it was a slow lap, that one for Ricky Taylor.
Yeah.
Just cooling the tyres down, perhaps.
Yeah, not going anywhere near the side of the circuit either. I think they've seen what's happened when anybody gets anywhere near the curbs.
Yeah.
Puddles of water for these things. Not nice.
Now, Richard Westbrook had one pole position last year, none this year though for this team. They have led the championship for a goodly portion of the season. Started off the year with a trio of third-place finishes, then had the first win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, added another victory after that in the Sailing 6 Hours of the Glen at Watkins Glen International with similar conditions to these.
Yes, good point. 32.7 for Westy last time around. Here's Christian Fittipaldi coming through. 30.773, close to his best. We've had more than 10 minutes, so we have a valid session. What you do notice with these cars, particularly down the back straight, the fastest part of the circuit, Jeremy, is just how much spray the aero underneath the car is picking up and throwing into the air.
Yeah, and also how much spray comes out through the openings above the wheels as well. Talked to Brian Sellers actually about that this morning. He said it's astonishing to see how much spray gets thrown up from these cars, and particularly through those, well, they used to be louvers, but now they're complete openings at the top of the wheels. They really do move a lot of water, these cars.
Yeah, that's
Let's try why the track should get a little bit faster as this session goes along, but at the same time, you know, they're using up these tyres.
Down the back straight at the moment, waiting for someone to attack Richard Westbrook's time. Joey Hand.
This one looks better.
This one looks better.
I think that was Ricky Cameron there, is the race engineer, one of the race engineers at VisitFlorida.com.
So that was to
He's
Richard
the
Westbrook.
uncle of Dane Cameron.
Yes. Through come Richard Westbrook, where they're right. 29.6 he has. And the timing screen hasn't updated. Our timing screen has frozen. There's a song in there somewhere. So 1:29.697 is still the time that's being given. But all of a sudden, it pops back up, and we haven't seen the 7th lap from Richard Westbrook. 1:28.848. Thank you, timekeepers. 1:28.848 from Richard Westbrook. So that is an improvement for Westy.
Significant improvement. It also improved there does Christian Fittipaldi.
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go. Christian with a 1:30.159, Jeremy. So he's ahead of the two Porsches. Dane Cameron, of whom you just mentioned, the 31 Action Express car, has moved his time forward to a 31.4. I think you're right. I think it is getting a little better out there. Not much.
No.
But down the front straight, there is a couple of tram lines that you can see. It's by no means dry, but it's drier than it was, and much drier than the rest of the track. Oh, Westbrook super late on the brakes there, and now finding the confidence to start using some of the inside curbs at least, staying well away from the outside carbs. The car squirming under throttle application as he comes up the hill from the second part of the turn 10 complex. Completes his 8th lap. A 1:28.137 and stretches away from Christian Fittipaldi. No, Fittipaldi comes back. 28.9, 8 tenths between the two guys at the head of the field. Joey Hand should be coming through in a moment or two. Down the hill. Huge streams of water from the EcoBoost car as he turns in. He was right on it there at a 29.8. He goes sub 90 seconds as well. He might get one more. He will get one more if he wants it. Again, the back end of the car just really refusing to grip. These Continental tyres are good, but so much power and so much weight on the circuit.
Next car for position, 29.8.
Through goes the number 10, just before the checkered flag. Ricky Taylor, 1:30.977. He has not improved.
He has improved, but not his position.
Not his position, indeed. Checkered flag is out, so
Car 10 is your possible last.
the 1-0 car, Ricky Taylor, will be the last person to come across the line. Half a chance here, you know. String something together. He needs to find a good chunk of time, though. Richard Westbrook, the man on provisional pole at the moment with a 28.1. 7 tenths of a second lead. He comes through, stays away from the river of water on the outside. 27.8.
Yeah.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Here's Fittipaldi. Can he get somewhere near 28.9? No. Does not improve.
Good job.
And Ricky Taylor, he's got to find 3 seconds. That's amazing that he's that far off. Here comes Joey Hand down the hill and into the final corner.
This looks decent as well. He's wound that one well up. Joey Hand, 29.627. He does improve, but he doesn't move forward from third position.
Good job, P3.
So Ricky Taylor now comes down into the tricky braking area. Just big slide, but holds it. I don't think he lost too much time there.
Understeer in the middle of the corner, certainly. He's really fighting this car, is Ricky Taylor.
Coming under the Tequila Patron Bridge, down towards the final right-hander. He's got power. Ooh. Oh, right over the curb, onto the dirt. And does he improve? He does in time, but not his position at 30.6. Well, I tell you what, points for style and absolutely left nothing out there. Ricky Taylor wrung the last 10th out of that car there. Well, that was entertaining, Jeremy.
It was. Great effort by Richard Westbrook on the pole by a full second over Christian Fittipaldi. That is impressive.
He's coming through the turn 10 complex now. So it's the 90 from the 5 Action Express from the 0-1 Chip Ganassi Ford EcoBoost, then the 10 of the Taylor family with 6th position only for those, of course. We've got a couple of Porsches in the middle there, GTLM cars, but it will be the prototypes that will start at the head of the field. And 2.7 seconds, the gap between first and fourth. Then this is the second of the Action Express cars.
I think Westy's going to be pretty proud of that effort.
Yeah, and as well he should.
It's his second pole in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship. His first of this year, the first of this year for this team. And they are the championship leaders. They have a 6-point margin over both of the Action Express entries going into tomorrow's race. Number 31 car and the number 5 car tied on points. Both of them 6 points behind Richard Westbrook and Michael Valianti.
Westbrook out of the car, not even breathing heavily. Takes off the driving gloves. The one that uses Adidas gear, I notice. Boots and gloves. A set of slick tyres being proffered over the wall to get the car back to the paddock area. Drives with his watch on as well, that's interesting. As the helmet comes off, our Continental Tyre pit lane reporter.
Bill Simpson about that.
Yes, I never do. Shea Adamo, Continental Tyre pit lane reporter, is down in the pit lane. Shea?
Richard Westbrook going for a championship this weekend. No better place to start than the front of the grid pole. What was that lap like?
It was good, actually. I mean, I felt like they were all pretty good, actually. It was a really good session. The car felt good. Gave me a lot of confidence. Tyres took a while to come in, but it was the same for everyone, and it was just so much fun out there. And it's, as you say, it's a good place to start. It's, you know, they were talking about it on the commentary earlier. It is important. I know it's a 10-hour race, but you want to be out of the trouble, and especially if, you know, there's that much rain predicted tomorrow, then, you know, the last thing you want to be is the midfield. So it is quite an important qualifying, and yeah, we'll take that, and we've got a bigger job to do tomorrow.
You have a second over Fittipaldi, who is chasing you in the championship. That's got to be a pretty good gauntlet to throw down and say, hey, come catch me if you can. Was that the intent?
No, not at all. I mean, we knew from practice we've got a good car in the wet. Probably a little bit better than we are in the dry. So the weather forecast is, you know, it's making us smile at the moment. But it's changing all the time, so we'll see. There's, you know, it's just such a long race, and this Petit Le Mans is brutal with all the traffic, and it's, you know, everyone's going for a championship in every class, so it's going to be pretty mad out there.
Well, it always rains in Florida, and the visitflorida.com guys are doing their rain dances.
You don't like the weather in Florida, wait 5 minutes, isn't that what they say?
Yeah, particularly this time of day.
Yes, absolutely. So then we have set the grid for the final round of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship for 2015. And it is the 90 car on pole position from the Action Express guys, the 5 car in second. That is the battle for the championship. The 31 car, the other car in the fight, down in 5th position and some 3 seconds off the pace there. In 3rd place, inside of row 2, will be the Joey Hand, Scott Pruitt, Scott Dixon car. And that is the 01 of Chip Ganassi Racing. It'll be the Taylor family outing, and the number 10 car on the outside of row number 2. So that is going to set things up very interestingly. Earlier on in GTD, it was the 93 Viper that took pole position. Cameron Lawrence doing qualifying duties there. In PC, Tom Kimber-Smith for the 52 team taking, I'm just working out where he is. There he is. He's in 10th position. Lost that, sorry, on there. Just ahead of Johnny Morlam, who is in that. I've just realised there's 4 drivers in that car, actually, in the 16 car, the bar 1, which is why I can't see Johnny Morlam's name in the timing and scoring screen, which rather confused me there. In GTLM, it was Earl Bamber. He put the car on the wall on the way to a 1:30.074, which brought out a red flag, which means his second time of 1:30.304 will be used for calculation. It was still enough for pole position ahead of his teammate Nick Tandy with Corvette and BMW 4 and 24 on the second row of the grid. Shea Adam is still down in the pit lane and was just hustling down a couple of pits to Action Express. Any sign of Christian Fittipaldi down there?
Yeah, he's just chatting right now with Sebastian Bourdais and Joao Barbosa. He looks considerably sweatier than Richard Westbrook did. He had to work hard, and by the hand gestures, he was fighting the car the whole way through. But I'm gonna see if I can interrupt for a second, if that would be okay. Christian, can I interrupt for a second really quick, please? Sorry. That looked like a very tough lap out there, but what was it like from your perspective?
Oh, it was pretty good out there. I think we have right now a more comfortable car for the race than we did for a quali car to go for the ultimate speed. To be quite honest with you, I was pushing way too much, but I'm happy. I'll definitely take it. Hats off to the 90 guys. They did an awesome job. Like Westy managed to put a very quick lap in. And tomorrow's a long race. Like, we're only talking, we're not even scratching the beginning here. And tomorrow's going to be a 10-hour race. Conditions are going to be very hard for all of us out there. So I guess that the main thing is first you need to last. And after you go through a couple of hours, maybe get close to the 7-8 hour mark, then you start thinking about positioning yourself to try and really go for it at the end of the race.
Thanks, Christian. Best of luck to you tomorrow, and thanks again. Sorry for interrupting.
Champion stuff. Well done, Shea. Thank you very much indeed to Shea Adam in terrible conditions down there for the Continental Tire Pit Lane report. Ironically, I think it has stopped raining now, and it is brightening up just a little bit. Jeremy, that's an interesting lineup at the front of the grid. We'll expect to see P cars, PCs, GTLMs and GTD split up tomorrow and put into their respective classes with a split start or starts when we get underway for the 10 hours here at Road Atlanta, powered by Mazda. But you've got the championship contenders there on the front row together. Christian very much pointing us there to say it's about the full 10 hours and not just the run down to the first corner. But there's going to be pressure on both of those guys leading the field away, particularly if conditions are bad, because there's guys behind who aren't in the championship hunt who will just be, you know, anybody in the 0-1 car, and Joey Hand will be starting. He's not going to say, after you, Claude, no, after you, Roger, going into the first corner, is he? He's going to want to be there and win the race.
Well, he is. You're absolutely right. And, you know, I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that the 0-1 car could win the championship. They are actually only 11 points behind going in. You get 35 points for a win. And, you know, so they need to score 11 more points than the Westbrook car, for example. Well, that's the difference between first and seventh position. So it's not that far, really. It's unlikely. But certainly the 0-1 car with Joey Hand, Scott Pruitt and Scott Dixon, they are most definitely going to go for the win. That's their #1 goal. And for the other guys, you know, they've got bigger fish to fry. Championship certainly is the bigger picture.
In the other classes, the performance of the GTLM cars in the bad weather is extraordinary. Yeah. And if we continue with the sort of wet, dry conditions that we've seen, they could be a factor not only in our own battle, but also with what's going on in the prototypes and certainly the PC battle as well. Because those guys, I mean, it is such a close battle for manufacturers and drivers there. They're pro drivers. They'll be giving no quarter whatsoever, will they?
No, they won't. And there is so much at stake there, isn't there, in GTLM? Because, you know, big bragging rights there amongst the manufacturers, and that is a big deal for them. So it's going to be daggers drawn.
In GTD, Christina Nielsen and the guys who were chasing her in Paul Miller Racer, Christopher Haase and Dejan von Moltke, qualifying off the front of the field in 8th and 9th position. And, you know, were they being a bit conservative today, maybe? Or do those cars just not like the weather?
Or for whatever reason, they just didn't go as fast. I think they're not that far off the pace, I don't think. But when you look at that lap set by Cameron Lawrence, they won 38.2 against the 41.7 of Jeff Siegel, who's 6th fastest. That's the other championship contender. And then 42s for the other two contenders. You know, there isn't 4 seconds between those cars. And we said before going in, we thought, you know, anybody could win.
That's true.
Could win the pole in GTD. And would we pick Cameron Lawrence? Well, probably not, actually.
No.
So a great effort by the youngster there to put that number 93 car on the pole position.
Last but by no means late prototype challenge, Tom Kimber-Smith, you know, very laid back as he always is. Never mind about the pole, never mind about anything else. Where's the core car? Answer further back down the field. The advantage being now that they have played the first tactical card there, putting the pro driver into that car first in the race. Now, I can't say, but it's definitely a tactic, and they've made that decision. That is a conscious decision that they've made. They believe that's the right one.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good strategic call from Bobby Oracle there and PR1 Matheson Motorsports. I really do, because they know they've got to win. They want to win the race. They want to be out front at the 6-hour mark. And where the points are given out? Was it 4 hours and 6 hours? I forget when the points are given out now during this race.
Well, it was interesting that Tom mentioned the
4
differences.
4 hours and 8 hours, and then the finish.
Yeah, 4 hours, 8 hours,
yeah.
and then the end of the race. So they're going to be back-timing their pit stops.
Yeah, they are, but they want to be out front of that 4-hour mark to extend their lead over the Corner Sport team for that North American Endurance Championship. It's cool. There's so many things up for grabs tomorrow. I'm excited.
And it will go ahead come rain or shine, remember. IMSA have said that absolutely categorically.
Yeah, bring your umbrella and hold on to your hat, I'd say.
And if we've sold you a seat, you'll probably only need the very edge of it. Plenty of action in store for the 2015 season finale for the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, and bringing Tudor's title sponsorship of the series to a close. The curtain coming down, I think, in some style on Saturday here at Road Atlanta. Thanks to Shea down in the pits, to Jeremy. I'm John Hindhaugh. Please join us for the Petit Le Mans 2015, powered by Mazda. It will be live here